Don Manuel woke up every day before dawn. He didn't need an alarm clock. His body still carried the discipline of decades past, when schedules were not suggestions, but orders. At 82 years old, he moved slowly, but with a quiet, steady purpose. He'd put on his worn cap, the one that read U.S. Army Veteran, and step onto the porch to breathe in the cool morning air. He had arrived in the United States when he was just a young man, searching for work and a sense of stability. Years later, when the country called on him, he did not hesitate to answer. He served as a mechanic in an army unit during a distant war, stationed in a place whose name few people in his neighborhood could even pronounce. He didn't carry a weapon every day, but his hands kept the engines running, even under enemy fire. He rescued wounded comrades and learned a profound lesson, that courage does not always make noise. He never spoke about the sleepless nights, the constant, deafening sound of explosions, or the deep-seated fear that stayed in his chest long after the chaos subsided. He kept those memories the way scars are kept, accepted, but not displayed. Only his wife, now deceased, knew the full weight of his stories. It was with her that he learned how to laugh again, how to build a simple, beautiful life, far from the uniform and the battlefield. The neighborhood where he lived was quiet, though it was always changing. New families arrived every year, and over time, Don Manuel became a familiar, respected figure. He was the elderly man who swept the sidewalk clean each morning, the one who could fix any child's bicycle, the neighbor who never, ever said no when someone needed help. The children in the neighborhood looked up to him with a kind of reverence, even if they didn't quite understand why. One autumn afternoon, the sky darkened suddenly and without warning. The wind began to howl, and the rain fell as if it were trying to erase the very streets from existence. In the middle of this chaos, an old, towering tree finally gave way, crashing down onto a car, stopped at the corner. Inside were a mother and her 2 young children, trapped and terrified. While some neighbors watched from the safety of their windows, paralyzed by the scene, Don Manuel walked toward the wreckage. He didn't run, but moved with a deliberate calm. His mind became sharp and clear, as if time itself had rewound, transporting him back to another era of crisis. He gave firm, concise instructions, asked for tools, and quickly organized the few neighbors who were willing to help. He spoke to the frightened mother in a calm, reassuring voice, promising her that everything would be all right. And because of the authority in his tone, she believed him. Minutes later, which felt like an eternity, they managed to clear enough of the debris to free the family, who emerged shaken but completely unharmed. By the time the firefighters and paramedics arrived, the immediate danger had already passed. A young neighbor, who had watched the entire event unfold in awe, approached Don Manuel. He asked him, his voice trembling slightly, how he had managed to stay so calm, so composed in the face of such danger. Don Manuel looked at him, his eyes carrying the wisdom of a lifetime. "Fear is always there," he said softly. "What matters is not letting it take control." That night, in the profound quiet of his home, Don Manuel took an old metal box from the back of his closet. Inside were his service medals, a stack of yellowed letters, and a black and white photograph of a group of young soldiers. They were all smiling, completely unaware of what life would soon demand of them. He thought of those who never returned. He thought of those who returned forever changed. And he thought of how deeply grateful he was for every single peaceful morning he was given. Before going to bed, he carefully folded the American flag he had received years earlier, a symbol of his service. He felt no loud, boastful pride and no bitter sadness, only a deep, unwavering sense of peace. He had served his country, he had built a family, and even now, in the twilight of his life, he continued to fulfill his most important duty, caring for others. For Don Manuel, being a veteran was not a medal to be polished or a title to be announced. It was a way of life, quiet, steady, and constant. It was about showing up, especially when no one was watching. It was a courage that never retires. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it and subscribing for more content that honors the quiet heroes among us.